place is always packed down here. And I love it. Early in the morning, there's almost never cops down here. In the middle of the afternoon, they're everywhere, especially on weekends. Now, fortunately, it's Monday morning, so there's really not going to be too many campers, but, you know, it is also summer, so, or at least as far as Texas is concerned, summer has started. We don't get spring. It goes winter, well, not so winter, summer. These guys are cool as shit. I never worked for them, but remember that pink building back there? They own the land next to it. And I spent many a day sitting on the side of the river down there getting stoned out of my freaking mind, drinking and talking to the guy that worked for Janie's, who was doing the same shit. And I'm going to tell you right now, for anyone and everyone that ever takes their family to go tubing or go float the river or whatever, if your driver looks even remotely high, he probably is. But don't worry too much, because, well, when you get stoned, you drive slower. Usually. I always did. We're usually pretty good about not getting drunk and driving. I mean, yeah, I'd sit there and drink a beer or two, but I'm not quite dumb enough to get drunk and then try to drive a highly populated, or a road populated with a lot of cops, because they will arrest your ass. But at the same time, in one of those vans, I could come through here literally going 45, 50 miles an hour and pass a cop, and the cop would wait. On my bike, if I come through here doing 45, 50 miles an hour past a cop, I'm getting a ticket. And it's because the cops know that the outfitter peoples are here doing a job. 90% of the time, they just want to get their shit over with and go home. Very few days are actually enjoyable, but the ones that are enjoyable make up for everything else, man. Oh, that's another one of our stops right there. That was actually the furthest downriver we ever came, which I'm almost to the end, so. They know basically what you're doing and why. I'll give you a story that I've told a fair number of people. One of the must-haves for a river worker is a knife, because shit gets tangled up, basically. You never know when you gotta cut something. Well, my knife was the convincing tool to get people to get out of the water when I told them to, because they get drunk, they don't want to do what you say, they want to stay in and float, and I've got shit that I've got to do, and getting them off the river is part of that. Well, my boss told me, this is the owner of the company, he said, I don't care about the customer. If they don't want their ride back, that's fine, I've already got their money, but I want my equipment back. And I said, okay. And he goes, I don't care if it has a small hole in the side of it, I can patch that. And he smiled and walked away. All right, get the fuck off the river. I'm gonna come out there, flatten the tube, drag the tube in, and let you walk home. Generally that works. There are some people that try to fight you on it, so I started carrying a straight blade that, 4 inches longer than legal. I think the whole knife was about yay long. It had like an 8-inch blade on it, double-sided, leather scabbard, whole 9 yards. And I'd pull that thing out, literally pull it out, throw it in my teeth, and swim into the river and flatten somebody's tube and take it with me. And that was standard operating procedure, and I had to do it several times. 9 times out of 10, they just go, damn, I thought you were joking. Like, no, motherfucker, get the hell out. Every now and then, it didn't quite work out that way, though. Well, It's a blatantly illegal knife, okay? And at one point I was standing on the side of the river waiting for somebody on a boat to pull up and get out and all that. And somebody walked up, nudged me and said, "Hey, can I borrow, you got a knife I can borrow?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I pulled this thing out, grabbed it by the blade, offered it to them handle first. They didn't take it, and I look over and there's a freaking county sheriff was standing there looking at me. He's like, "What the hell is that?" And I just kind of like got the total deer in the headlights look, and I was like, it's effective. And he kind of smiled and he goes, "I'm gonna trust that you only carry that for work purposes." Roger that, sir. They took it, cut whatever he had to cut, handed it back to me and walked away. Probably could have arrested me for it. I don't really know. That always struck me as kind of funny, but that's the way it works, you know. They let us get away with a certain amount of shit so that we can get our job done and they don't have to deal with all the customers. Because quite frankly, most of the people around here hate the people that float the fucking river. Which is funny because without that river, New Braunfels wouldn't be as populous or wealthy as it is. The only thing in this town worth doing revolves around that river, you know. And these people hate it, and I think it's hilarious. But kind of on my way over to another company I worked for. I've worked for 3 different river companies, and the one I'm gonna pass by in a few minutes, the last one, it was kind of weird. We had a lot of fun. They partied a lot harder there than we did back at Whitewater. At Whitewater, the employees didn't really party together a whole lot because some of us worked on Friday and Saturdays. We'd work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock the next morning. So yeah, no. You know, some people are getting off at 8, some people are getting off at 5. It really just kind of depended on what you did and how old you were. But those of us that stayed late, we ended up partying with the campers. But over here at Green River Company, we partied with each other because there's no campground. And those people, holy crap, there were some alcoholics in that group. Damn. I remember the end of the year party that we had took place at a bowling alley down in New Braunfels. And we had X amount of money to spend that the company had given us per person. And basically what they did is they took everybody's money and they ordered a shitload of beer. And they'd order like X number of pitchers of beer, and it was like 60 pitchers of beer. And then they said, "Okay, you've got this much left, you can do whatever the hell you want with it." And we usually turned it into shooters. Well, not only did we get kicked out of the bowling alley about 2 hours later, several people walked out in their bowling shoes. Most of us walked out with at least 1 pitcher of beer in our hand and got on the bus, because those school buses back there were ours. They still belong to the company, I'm sure, but I can't say. Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. We had a bus driver that drove us up there so that we could all get shit-faced and then come back, and most of us crashed in the parking lot. And this is the backside of the parking lot right here. So most of us parked down there and just kind of slept wherever. Me and 3 or 4 guys actually thought it'd be a good idea to sleep on top of the buses. And I'm going to tell you right